What is up, YouTube? Happy cold night from New York City. I'm wearing my very nice and warm and fluffy, like blue robe, sweater, whatever you call this thing. I'm sure Catriona Gray is also wearing something warm tonight because it is so cold in New York City. But if you haven't seen part 1 of this video, check it out. It's going to be over here. This is going to be part 2 of our reaction to Catriona Gray's best interview ever, which is with Tito Boy Abunda on Bottomline just right before the Miss Universe pageant. I'm Marc and this is The Life of Marc. Okay guys, I hope you are learning quite a bit from Tito Boy Abunda because he is teaching me a lot about public speaking skills. Hit that like button if you do agree that you're learning quite a lot from Tito Boy Abunda. I want him definitely to be my mentor for sure. I do want to say that, this week I'm going to be producing a lot of, reaction videos to Catriona Gray's media interview, and also tomorrow I have a big message to all of you about Catriona's boyfriend. So stay tuned for more, on that on my video tomorrow because I have a lot to say about him. Also, let me know, guys. I mean, I am, reacting to videos, that Filipinos all over the world are watching right now, and Catriona Gray is a huge topic for all of us, including me. But let me know what other types of videos you'd like me to react to, or if you'd like me to feature different types of Filipino culture on my channel. This is really, a channel for all of us Filipinos all over the world. Let me know in that comment section below the types of topics and, and videos that you'd like me to be featuring here on this channel. So for now, let's start part 2 of my reaction video featuring Catriona Gray on Tito Boy Abunda's Bottomline interview.
I know and I'm very aware that you're an HIV awareness advocate. Do you really think that ambassadors and an ambassadress, like beauty queens, have a voice and can move mountains on convincing the government in making it a national priority?
I like that question, thank you.
Tough question, yeah.
I think we do have a voice to use. Why? Because governments listen to the people. And if I can be a voice to the people and either empower them to speak up or to somehow create awareness or education about the cause, just like I do as an HIV advocate and go around for campus tours, that's when you have enough collective voices, that's when the government will start to hear us.
Very good. It sounded again so right. I mean, because I knew your question. I knew your question. Your question is, can beauty queens be effective to convince government, to make HIV programs a priority? Kat took a different route. Do you get now the difference of the question?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
But the first thing that came into my mind is like, obviously no beauty queen's gonna walk into to government and say, hey, let me convince you.
Okay. Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Right.
Because as one person, that's not enough to make someone sit up and listen.
Okay.
Most of the time. Sometimes it does work. But, even as being a beauty queen, what I'm amazed at is how we rally people together, whether it be for the pageant, whether it be for fundraising or, just awareness that kind of ripples across. I think that's a beauty queen's greatest asset.
That's right. Let's go to Amir.
Let's pause there. To be a beauty queen in the Philippines is a massive platform, and the route that new beauty queens have gone through these past years is really to take on that responsibility as a spokesperson for many different causes, right? Catriona now has 4.5 million followers on Instagram, and she is lending her voice to various causes from all over the world, whether it's education or HIV awareness. And she's right. She's not going to be, going into the office of, senators and the president and, and changing their minds very quickly. She is a spokesperson, right? Beauty queens have a platform, whether that's on social media or on TV, and they use those platforms effectively to carry out, awareness and messaging when it comes to, really painting a larger picture of the different types of issues that Filipinos and that Filipinos are going through right now. And that is a huge responsibility. And this is really why, you know, beauty pageants have become very important in the Philippines, because it is a way for Filipino women to be out there, to be talking about causes, right? To be, you know, to be able to influence people. Social media today have shifted that game, you know, with the level of influence that you can get and the level of connection that you can have, you know, with influencers. You know, and influencers' roles are really to deepen their connection with, you know, with the issues that they carry through on their platforms. So this is a very, you know, great point from Catriona, and I think it's really great for us to see her carry that torch, right, as an ambassador, as an advocate, using her platform for good.
My question would be, how will you convince a feminist that beauty pageants like Miss Universe are still relevant and not shallow in
Great
today's
question.
society?
Not a new
I
question.
believe the aim of feminism isn't to bring women down for what they choose to express themselves as or what they choose to pursue. I think, and I believe that the whole aim of feminism is to support women in whatever they choose to do, as long as it's considerate and respectful to someone else.
That's it.
Amazing answer. I think this is really great, right? Like, she really took on the positive, you know, that positive stance of lifting up women's voices, using the beauty pageant as a platform, not just to lift up her own voice, but to lift up other women's voices as well. I mean, this is really, I love how she defined feminism. It's not about putting women down, it's about empowering them with whatever they choose to do. And I think that's the right answer, right? You know, I mean, I call myself a feminist, and I continue to learn, right, and how to be a better feminist. And I think it's important for us, especially for Filipinos out there. I mean, I grew up with strong women, you know, leaders in my family, you know, surrounding me, both in the Philippines and here in New York. And I have constantly looked up, you know, to the influence of these amazing women leaders who have, you know, who have taught me quite a lot. So, you know, so for me, of course, like, it is important, right, to not just empower women, right, but to be affected by empowered women.
I hope there's a question asked. Let's stop this. You ready?
It's a wrap.
Diba? It's right on spot. Diba? Eric, you've asked. Eric, go ahead.
Hi, Kat.
Hi, Eric.
Hello. I've been following your beauty pageant journey since 2016.
Oh, thank you.
And yes, and I rarely hear you comment on political issues. So I have two questions. First one is it something that you really avoid? And then second one, what political issue or issues do you feel strongly for or against, and why?
So your first question, why don't I speak a
Do
lot
you avoid?
about politically charged subjects? I like to take it if it's at the time and place. I'm not going to be a public figure that just spouts opinion without being considerate of both sides and validating both sides, because at the end of the day, I wear a Philippine sash, and the Philippines is made up of millions of Filipinos with different points of view and different political standpoints, so I never want to polarize that. Whereas for my own individual beliefs, something that I'm passionate about is really, it's inequality, in that unequal access to basic human rights, such as education. And this is something close to my heart because I work in Tondo a lot. Or even education, working with Love Yourself, where there are so many areas that are experiencing just a gap of awareness of basic education, and it alters people's lives. So if I could push for anything, it would be for the government to really just bunk down and assess the Philippines as a whole, not just Manila, because we have some great educational places and facilities here, but in all the Philippines should receive equal access to education, because then we can rise up as one people and be able to storm forward to the future on an equal standpoint.
I like that.
Great answer. And I like how she really brought it down to her, you know, her personal advocacy and to the work that she's been doing over the last 3 years. I mean, it's a tough question, right? I mean, as a public figure, do you really want to be polarizing? And that's a personal choice. She chose personally not to take on, you know, polarizing issues because she wants to learn. She wants to listen to all sides, of position, all positions, all sides, and there's a certain level of humility there, right? Like as a woman who is learning, and I think it's important for us to kind of highlight that we are learning people, and our opinions evolve, as we grow up, as we experience different things, and as we learn from different experiences of the people who we encounter. So I like that stance of humility in her answer, but I also love the fact that she defined it, right? My cause is inequality, including, or for example, when it comes to education. So she was really good at kind of bringing it back to the work that she's been doing over the last 3 years.
And Kat, it would sound really, really great if you always go back to your story. And that's what you did just now. You go back to Tondo, you go back to children, you go back to education. You would relate inequality to education. It's really, really fantastic. You know why it's effective? Because it's a real story.
I know you've traveled in most parts of our country and have immersed in local cultures. In the recent Miss Universe that was held here, most said that it lacked in promoting our culture as a nation. As a beauty queen, and I know for a fact that you love to travel, how would you help in promoting the culture of the Philippines in the international community?
Well, actually, I took the task of making my national costume very seriously. I wanted to represent the authentic Filipino culture, so I traveled and I researched, I asked questions because I wanted to step out on the international stage. Yeah, I am too. For you guys to see it, I really am. I'm bursting. And I wanted to just showcase our culture in a way that maybe one Filipino would be like, wow, that makes me proud. And another Filipino would be like, I never knew that about our culture. How amazing. So that's what I'm doing in that.
Great answer. What I loved about her being a candidate for Miss Universe is the 3 videos that she released about her national costume. And I know quite a lot about Luzon. I know quite a lot about Visaya, the middle region in the Philippines. But I wasn't really as close to a lot of the different kind of cultural points of Mindanao. And it was in her Mindanao video where she really showcased kind of the women textile workers, the women who were designing different jewelries and crowns, which, one of the crowns she featured, as part of her natural costume, right? I mean, I am one of those Filipinos who she has said, that has learned a lot, right? From the journey that she has taken and, and the story that she has told through the clothes that she was wearing, at the Miss Universe pageant. So, thank you, Kat. I mean, if you guys learned a lot from these 3 videos, let me know in the comment section, because I really love these videos. And it made me want to connect to those parts of Filipino culture that I'm not normally, exposed to. So, really good job. She did a great job as somebody who's carrying that Filipino flag and really representing what it means to be a Filipino.
I love the answer. You can probably just add a line, because that can be tricky. It's very tricky because culture is a way of life. Clothing is just one. Culture is about, but you do not expect, say, a queen. I'm just giving Kat some ideas. You do not expect a queen to cover everything that has something to do with culture. But as a queen, that matters a lot, because how I present myself internationally is visual. And I want to wear something that is Filipino. John.
Some beauty queens, after their reign, they
Tito
pursue
Boy is so
going
good.
to show business. Do you see yourself being in show business? If not, what would you pursue?
I could imagine myself going more in the direction of music. Because, as I said, arts is something very close to me. I love watching Broadway. I love musicals. I love singing. I love watching live music. So music is something I definitely like to explore. And other than that, I would love to have my own business. I've always been passionate about Philippine textiles, so I would love to find a way to market that to more people and then provide a livelihood program to give back.
I like that.
Miss Gray will be a textile magnet. The only thing that's confusing
I love that answer, right? I mean, first of all, we know that she is using music as a platform for her to carry her advocacy messages, right? And not just before the Universe pageant, she released a music video featuring kind of the children that she had worked with in Tondo, right? But she has said that throughout her reign as a Miss Universe, that she will have projects, music projects that are going to be carrying messages of hope, right? For representing different the different issues that she is advocating for, which are education for children, but also awareness when it comes to HIV and AIDS. And honestly, I love this whole kind of like businesswoman angle that she's really pushed forward in this interview. I think it's important for her, as a person of influence, as a person who could bring in investments, right, in the Philippines, to create a business that that really represents or showcase Filipino textile, Filipino culture, Filipino tradition, while also providing work and employment to people in Mindanao, these women that she had met in her video, who are producing all these jewelries. I think that's it's going back to kind of your roots and ensuring that your people are also benefiting from the platform that you have created. So kudos for her.
Marky, have you asked? Not yet. Go ahead.
Hi, Catriona.
Hi, Marky.
When Miss Universe organization or Miss Universe official Facebook page uploaded your photos of the official candidates, you got the most likes and comments. There are good comments and there are bad comments. I just want to ask, what was the worst thing said about you and how did it affect you?
I once read a comment that said, "She's so fake and scripted. Nothing that comes out of her mouth is real." And it hurt. Why? Because I am a huge believer in authenticity. Like, authenticity is really important to me. And even to a point that my charity work is the foundation of what I do. So to have someone just judge me at a drop of a hat and say, "Oh, baka she's just saying that because she's a beauty queen. Maybe she doesn't really care about this charity. Maybe it's just a tool for her for publicity." It hurt. But then I realized that person doesn't know what they're talking about. Why would I let them affect me in that way when I know exactly what I've put in the work for and other people know it too?
Listen, guys, I mean, in the age of social media, it's really important. Authenticity is very important. And you could gauge that very, very easily. Just because, we don't have kind of this facade of television anymore, right? There is more of a direct connection between people through social media. And authenticity is really kind of the keyword for, for millennials and for Generation Zs and younger, right? Because if we don't see that authentic self being represented on these platforms, then we're going to call people out. She put in that work for 3 years, working with with children and, living in Tondo, because she had, a very kind of visceral, like, reaction that really motivated her to help, to do more. And we saw that, in her stories and how she kind of told the story of her work, but also, with how the people that, she had worked with told, their experience, with her. So, I think highlighting authenticity is really, really important, especially in the age of technology.
Expectations are
high,
incredibly high. Are you pressured?
Yeah, there is pressure. I think pressure comes with a Philippine sash.
But this is different.
It's a different pressure. It's not
It's
a
really
debilitating
Can I be
pressure.
very honest? Pia Wurzbach in 2015 was a surprise win. Catriona is a sure win.
Woo!
My question is, who are you? As a queen.
I would never consider myself a sure win because I don't have that kind of head on my shoulders. I always see that it's never a walk in the park. There is so many things to navigate and no one's perfect. Like, there is hard work that needs to put in. It's not like I could attend and, oh, there it goes. She's going to be the winner. I never feel like that. So it doesn't feel like I'm a sure win. Even though I'm high on everyone's expectation lists, there is that aspect of it's a competition. It could be anyone.
Okay. Everybody has very high expectations. What about yours? How much are you expecting?
Grilling her, huh?
I'm expecting to get exactly what I put in. So if I'm rewarded for the effort and my performance, then I'll be happy.
And if you were to be rewarded for what you put into this journey, do you deserve the crown?
I would say so, yes.
Okay. Going into the contest, what is your biggest fear?
My fear is losing my groundedness. Because, you know, I want to always be grounded. I always want to come from a grateful and humble standpoint because that's just what I admire in people, when they're humble and they're grounded. And sometimes when it's really hectic and there's so much on the line, there's so much at risk, and it's a flurry of different things and time is constrained, sometimes you can lose your footing.
Right.
That's what I would hate because that's what grounds me. That's what keeps me sane.
You know what you do? Get one friend. I know you organized a group chat, right? You know what you do? There's this wonderful story about Julius Caesar. I don't know if this is urban legend, but somebody told me, one wise man told me in a conversation many years ago, that when Caesar was being paraded around Rome, there was a guy, sa likod niya, who was saying, "You're human. You're human. You're human," and kept on repeating the line, "You're human." Because you're right, you can get lost.
I love that story from Tito Boy. Tito Boy was grilling, you know, Catriona for sure, you know, when it comes to that answer. But what I like about, you know, this part of Catriona Gray's interview is that she's highlighting humility in leadership, right? It's great to be confident all the time, fine. But it's also good, right, to bring out humility as well. And we're seeing that in the way she's answering this. It might not have been like, you know, the strongest answer she's had in the entire interview, but I think it's really important to highlight humility, you know, especially as somebody who has won Miss Universe, who have the massive platform to become, you know, to be an influencer, to influence millions of people around the world. Humility is key, which is why I really love Tito Boy's story about Julius Caesar and that guy behind you saying, you're human, because people forget, right? Like you know, the higher people get, you know, like the more disconnected you become, you know, with the people who have put you there.
You're competing against Angela Ponce, Miss Spain, who is a transgender woman. What is your stand on, you know, a transgender woman being one of the competitors in the Universe 2018?
I'm open to it because individually, I see beauty queens more than a physical aspect. We represent something. That has to be what we're there for. And she has a purpose. She is that voice for the transgender community, and if she can further educate people about what are the needs of the transgender community to get us to be more compassionate towards them, because I have close friends who are transgender, so I've heard their experiences, and there is a lot of work to be done in how we come towards them.
And Kat, if you're asked the question, can you just add one line? Please tell the world that the universe knows that Angela Ponce is a woman.
Because she didn't just wake up one day and was like, oh, I feel like being a woman today.
She is a woman.
She feels it in herself. That
She
is who
identifies
she is.
herself as a woman,
Exactly.
and therefore she is a woman.
I gotta say, you know, when Angela Ponce, you know, during, you know, the finale night, you know, when she walked down that, you know, that stage, and Miss Universe really giving her the right platform, the right amount of exposure. I mean, it was a huge moment. You know, especially as somebody, you know, Angela really went through a lot of, you know, a lot of bullying online, you know, as a candidate for Miss Universe, and to be given that level of validation and that level of support and love. I mean, it was such a great moment. I cried. A lot of people cried. I think it's a huge statement for Miss Universe, and big kudos to you, Miss Universe organization, for really taking on that stance, because this was shown all over the world, right? Where we know many countries are really struggling, you know, with the issue of with the LGBT community in general. The LGBT community in many countries are being persecuted. So to be watched by, you know, a couple of billion people from all over the world and to really take on that stance, thank you guys.
Last question. I am Catriona Gray, and
I am Miss Universe 2018.
Amazing. I really love this interview, and I think we really saw, you know, why Catriona won Miss Universe, right? I mean, having this type of an interview, I mean, if you're put in a room with like 40 people asking you, you know, different questions, different topics, I mean, you know, you would be sweating, honestly. But she handled this interview with amazing grace. And also, you know, she learned a lot as well, right? I mean, Tito Boy was giving her some pointers as well, and she was open to those suggestions, but she was still very confident in doing it. So this, so far, by far, it has really been kind of her best interview over the last year, both before and after the Miss Universe pageant. I hope you guys enjoyed my reaction to it and some of the comments that I've shared. Let me know what you guys think about, you know, about her performance here. I really look forward to her reign as Miss Universe all throughout 2019, and I'm really looking forward to us continuing our conversation both about Catriona Gray and her reign, but also just, you know, about being a Filipino. So, ciao guys.